Hello and welcome everybody to episode 11 of the Two Foot Tackle podcast. I'm your host, as always, Aris Namatakos, and before we begin before we begin proceedings, you would, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, then if you want to listen on Spotify, just at least give it a like on YouTube and a subscribe, that'd be great. But new camera, for those of you who haven't noticed, I was, to give you a peek behind the curtain, I was recording on this. Now this is a fabulous camera. It's a Sony. I'm not exactly sure the exact specs or whatnot, or like anything about it. But it did the job. Made my life hell at points, but it did the job. Now I upgraded to a Canon M50 Mark II. So for those who give a shit, you guys know. And the lens, again, for those who give a shit, is a 15-45mm. So I'm not really sure if that makes any difference for what I'm doing. I, in fact, actually know that it doesn't. But just for those who wanted to know. So, yes, we've had a technological upgrade. That also means we have a nice, cleaner back shot. I mean, just a white wall. Can't really go wrong. The shutters are still there, though, which I literally can't move. So, I mean, yeah, there's not a lot you can do about that. But yeah, hopefully you can see now all my facial details in nice HD. Hopefully this all goes well. Hopefully I'll stay in focus, because I was struggling with that at some points when testing this. But again, before we start, because I know no one really gave a shit about what I just said. Before we start, I'd like to wish you all a well week, if that makes sense. I'd like to send my well wishes to everyone listening. It's a very tumultuous time that we're living in at the moment. All these things happening in the world. So before we start, as always, I would like to implore you all to subscribe on YouTube, give it a like, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at 2FootTacklePod would be greatly appreciated. And then obviously Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, they're the three, and Anchor as well if you want to listen to it the traditional way. It would be greatly appreciated if you could just send as much love as possible. So I've decided to do something different. Normally, as I was saying, it's been tradition for 10 episodes, for 10 weeks, that we start with the A-League and work our way down chronologically. I've scrapped that. I don't want to do that anymore. So, and it's my podcast, and if you're angry about it, I don't care. But I'm just going to try and speak more broadly about football now. I think that's a good way to do it. So we've got some Chelsea stuff to talk about, because that's just an ever-evolving shitfest, to put it lightly. There's obviously some Premier League games which we'll talk about. Is Harry Maguire a secret agent? Which is something I want to delve deeper into, because I genuinely don't think he's a real footballer. Chris Wood making fun of his own name, which will lend me on to speaking about other footballing name double entendres. We're going to speak about the A-League for a bit, because there's a lot going on there. We're going to speak about the A-League All-Stars, which has been rumoured. Melbourne Victory's TikTok Shrek tweet, which that probably was the weirdest day in soccer Twitter, especially like A-League Twitter, in a long, long time. And we'll delve deep into that. Delve deep into that. We're going to rank all A-League managers, because Ben Walsh on Twitter requested that. So, Ben, if you're listening, you will get your wish. We're going to speak on Barcelona's downfall. We're going to speak on Benzema, and then PSG as well, because a lot of things are happening at that football club which I don't understand, and I really want people. I just want to speak about it, because I just don't get it, and I think speaking about it may just, I don't know, do something good. We'll start with my team, as I said, Chelsea Sanctions. This football club really is going to be the death of me, I swear to God. So obviously we beat Newcastle United 1-0, and Kai Havertz once again saving Chelsea. He's slowly becoming the clutchest player at the club. Although again, that's not a very high bar to pass because we are shit. So, but the sanctions now. Again, if you were living under a rock, please tell me what rock you were living under because I want to join you to get away from this. But Chelsea, or to be more specific, Roman Abramovich has had all his assets or UK assets frozen, meaning under normal circumstances, Chelsea Football Club would cease to operate. But obviously, you can't stop a football club. So the UK government had some sense about them to give Chelsea Football Club a special license to operate under special conditions. And these special conditions are fucking so weird. We can only spend something like 50 grand on away days, and away days that is like, and it's not like in the A-League where an away day is 4 hours up the road. Like we're going to another country to play, like 40 grand to get a whole squad plus staff plus admin to France for 4, 5, 6 days or whatever, or maybe close to 4 days. But that's gonna be interesting to see if that actually ever happens. So we've got that. The club store shut down. We can't buy away tickets. We pretty much are operating on like football light. So it's like, you know how like you have like a normal game or like say like on a game on like an app store. You have like the full version which you have to pay like $3 for, and then you have like the light version. So it's like, I don't know, Flappy Bird Light, for example. We're kind of operating on football light. So we can do some things, but not a lot. But it's kind of like, oh, we're just giving you like a teaser of what you could do. So yeah, this is when I saw the news that he was sanctions. I was like, oh fuck, because my thought was, oh, we won't be able to do anything. We won't be able to play. We won't be able to literally do anything, because that's what I thought. But luckily, they as I said, they allowed us to operate to some extent. And this is really confusing and really weird and a really odd thing to have happened to your football club, right? Because he's completely out of Chelsea Football Club's control. In terms of the fans and the players and the football club as a whole, it's out of their control. Was very much in the control of Roman Abramovich for a long time, right? And because he knew the risks of involving himself with certain regimes, and if that could come back to bite him in the ass, which it has. But I think every Chelsea fan would agree the sanctions were not only fair in terms of to freeze his assets, but also came a bit too late. The UK government should have acted a lot quicker, but they didn't, and we are now here where loads of countries have had sanctions on Russia for a long time, and the UK government have just caught up. Anyway, but for me, it's the whole notion of the Premier League have not done enough to protect Chelsea Football Club. And not only that, it is the whole hypocrisy around this sanctioning which gets me upset and it gets me annoyed even. And I'll tell you what I exactly mean by that. So when a football club is being bought out, just like Newcastle were bought out not long ago, the owners have to go through a fit and proper test, which means, basically in broad terms, and I'm assuming everyone knows this, but just to overview it, they have to have the right intentions for the club, they need to show proof of funds, they need to have the right intentions, etc., to make sure that they're fit and proper to run a football club. The Premier League deemed Roman Abramovich to be fit and proper to buy Chelsea Football Club. As outsiders, we kind of have to put our hands up and say, okay, that's fine, because that's what's been agreed on, right? But when this happens, the owners has to go back on the Premier League and say, why was he allowed to buy the club in the first place? That's where Chelsea fans or me in particular is getting upset because we've just been been left out to dry by the Premier League because we weren't protected by them. We weren't protected from ourselves because every football club up and down the country, if we're linked to being bought out by someone worth $3.3 billion or whatever, every football club would take it. Maybe Liverpool and Man City, the exceptions. But if I go to Coventry and say, hey, there's this bloody Brazilian billionaire, multi-billionaire looking to buy a club, I'm pretty sure they'd be like, yeah, let's take him, right? Because any sane football supporter would want that to happen to a football club because it means more money, better players, better everything, meaning success under normal circumstances. And that's one side of my frustration explained. The other side is how do I word this? It's the fact that Roman Abramovich, who is heavily linked to the current happening. So for those who don't know, basically Roman Abramovich owns a steel company in Russia. He's a part of one of many oligarchs, right? He owns a steel manufacturing company in Russia that is supplying weapons and materials and infrastructure and all that thing to the Russian government, thus the Russian military, thus the horrendous goings on in Ukraine. He owns that, right? So he's while he's not giving orders to invade Ukraine, he's facilitating it, right? So that's fine, fair enough. You can't do that. That's sweet. I think any sane, not even football fan, but sane person will go and will see that and think, yeah, fine, fair enough. He should be sanctioned. But with the most recent, you look at Man City and you think, all right, they've sports washed for ages and their owners are just as shoddy as Roman Abramovich was. But the blatant way in which the Newcastle owners are being immoral is unbelievable. And this comes back to the fit and proper test and this arbitrary line of moral versus immoral. So, because for those who don't know, Saudi Arabia has been at war with Yemen for God knows how long. They've killed so many people. They've terrorized that country, right? Yet, the state, pretty much, the government, have bought Newcastle United. Alright, whatever, fine, fair enough. So, the Saudi Arabian government, who are directly involved in the killing of millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people in Yemen, are deemed to be moral. And maybe I shouldn't say moral. They are deemed to be not immoral, or not fit enough to own a football club. Yet Roman Abramovich, who is, yes, very involved, not directly involved, he's not the fucking president of Russia, right? Or the prime minister of Russia. He's not the head of the military, right? But he's very heavily involved. I think that's undeniable. He's deemed not fit enough to own a football club. Thus, the sanctions, thus his owner's license being removed by the Premier League. So it's this. So if Newcastle can have their owners, why can't we? And where do you stop? That's the thing. Where's this moral line where you have to stop? So it's maybe not frustration and it's maybe not anger. It's just confusion because we don't know why it's only happening to us. We obviously know why it's happening to us in general because I've said for the past 10 minutes why it's happening to us. And I think no Chelsea supporter thinking from a logical perspective and a rational perspective could deny that. Roman Abramovich should be sanctioned. He should have his owner's license removed. He should have all the things happen to him because of his involvement. That's undeniable. However, why isn't that happening to the Newcastle owners? Why isn't that happening to the Man City owners? Or maybe not the Man City owners because I don't know too much about them. But I know quite a bit about the Newcastle owners. Why isn't it happening to them? It's that like I said, that moral ambiguity type thing. It's very arbitrary. So we just need to hope that the whoever buys Chelsea next is meets the fit and proper test, actually meeting the fit and proper test rather than just pretending to. But we all know these trillionaires have enormous amounts of enormous amounts of wealth, no shit, but have millions of ways of hiding whatever they want, hiding whatever they need, and making themselves look to be the best person or the person fit to do whatever they want to do. It's just that really frustrating thing of I'm being punished, and I'm not saying me, and I'm not saying, oh, look at me, feel sorry for me. It's Chelsea fans are being punished for something that, personally, if Roman Abramovich left under normal circumstances, I would be sad because obviously he's given 20 years of unparalleled success to Chelsea Football Club. But I was never the biggest fan of Roman from a holistic perspective. So this isn't going to hurt me personally as much as it will hurt some people who love Roman to bits. But there's that fine line you cross. Anyway, let's stay on the Premier League, but let's move to some slightly lighter things. I want to speak about Jurgen Klopp for a second, because this man has... So for those who didn't say, obviously Liverpool beat Brighton 1-0. He was getting very, very, very upset, like almost tantrum levels of upset, because Mo Salah and Luis Diaz weren't passing the ball. I'm sorry, Jurgen. Just because your little toys aren't passing, yet you have Mo Salah, who is maybe not currently, but definitely was the best player in the world for a period of time. Luis Diaz, who's hit the ground running. Sadio Mane, who's a class player. Diogo Jota, who's elite, in my opinion. Just because they're not passing the ball, yet you're like, I think you're going to win the league. Or maybe not, but like, you're second in the league. You're 3 points behind City with the game in hand, I think. Like, fuck me, man. Just relax and just chill. It's not as if you're fighting for your life. Just relax, buddy. It's seriously not the end of the world. And this goes back to the question, can they win the league? I think they can. And I would go as far as to say I think they are a better chance of City than winning the league. Purely off the back of whoever wins that game at the Etihad. That is the Premier League final. If Liverpool win, they've won. If City get a draw or win, they've won it. So it's again one of those things of you're complaining about Mo Salah not passing, yet you're like the best team in the country, pretty much. Fuck, like, anyway. Klopp has been really, like, not arrogant, but really, what's the word? Bitchy recently. I don't know, it's weird. Maybe the fake teeth have got to him. And maybe he stopped wearing his glasses as well, I think. Maybe the contacts have just gone into his head. And maybe the fake teeth have, like, fucked him up. Anyway, he should go back to what he was in, like, 2017. Like, hugging, like, breaking his glasses when hugging Adam Lallana after he scored a 95th minute winner at Norwich. That was an insane game. But anyway, let's go. Now, the marquee match of the week. Week? I think week, because... Yeah, week, fuck it. Okay, so it was United versus Spurs, we all know that. And we'll speak about Ronaldo, yeah, he did great. But Harry Maguire, I seriously want to have a conversation about him. I genuinely think he's a secret agent. I don't think he's a footballer. So for those who didn't say, he scored an own goal, right? And against City, he let the ball go through his legs to allow City's second goal, I think it was. He just can't defend, which is really not good for a defender. And I think this was a plot, personally. I think this was a plot made by Brendan Rodgers, where it was like, all right, we've conned everyone in the country to think that this bloke's half decent at football. Let's get 80 million for him, and let's build this ridiculous team buying Tielemans and fucking, well, maybe they had Tielemans before, but buying all these players and then being good for 2 seasons. Granted, they've been shit this season, but you know what I mean. I genuinely think he's a secret agent. I think he's been playing. I think he was made up in a lab because his head shape isn't a normal head shape. I've genuinely, maybe Ollie Wines has a similar head shape. For those who don't know, Ollie Wines is a AFL footballer, right? Look him up. He's the only person in the world who has the same head shape as Harry Maguire. I think they were both made in a lab. I think Harry Maguire was made in a lab by Brendan Rodgers because he was at Hull, right? I swear he just spawned out of nowhere at the Euros. It's like one of those football conspiracy theories. I genuinely I think Harry Maguire spawned in the 2018 World Cup. I cannot remember him playing for less of the season before. I think he just spawned, played a good World Cup, and then I think it was a season after that. Was it? Yeah, it was a season after that. They got 80 million for him. 80 million pounds. That is like, you can buy, what can you buy with 80 million pounds? You can buy 8/10 of Romelu Lukaku. You can buy all of Romelu Lukaku bar his head. You could buy, what could you buy with 80 million? You could buy Gareth Bale. You could buy 1 2/3 of Fernando Torres with 82 million pounds. What can you buy for one Harry Maguire? Let me know. Well, on Twitter or in the comments of YouTube. What can you buy for one Harry Maguire? Let me know, because that's fascinating, because I genuinely think he was made up in a lab, because he's not a real footballer, I'm convinced. Moving on. We're moving on quickly, swiftly moving on, because I don't want to speak about him anymore. So for those who didn't see, this was a pretty funny moment that happened in this happened in midweek, didn't happen on the weekend. Chris Wood scored his first goal for Newcastle against Southampton, and he said, I was post-match interview, I couldn't be bothered listening to it, but there was something along the lines of him touching wood. Now, for those who don't know, you pretty much universal the saying touch wood when referring to something like, Chelsea will win the Champions League, touch wood type thing, you know. And normally people would touch something that is wooden, i.e. a table, i.e. a chair, or their head. I don't know where this has come from, but when people say touch wood, they do this, right? Now that made me think of a couple of things. Firstly, that made me think of the other meaning for wood, which is an erection. Now, touching wood in that sense would be quite inappropriate for a Premier League Productions post-match interview. But that also made me think of other footballing name double entendres. Now, I've got 5 written down. They're 5 of the more popular ones. But let me know if you've thought of any more and what they could mean. Again, in the comments on YouTube, or let me know on Twitter at TFTPod. If you just search up 2 Footed Tackle Podcast, it will come up. We hit 100 followers on that the other day. I think I mentioned that last part, but we did, so thank you all very much for that. So yeah, the first one I got down obviously was Danny Drinkwater, which I find fascinating for a couple of reasons, because not for 2 reasons, right? For one reason, that it's a name that makes sense, and it's a name that, if used in a sentence, it makes sense. Danny Drinkwater. Like Danny, drink water. Like a command. Like maybe Mr. Drinkwater speaking to his son. Danny, drink water. Right? However, the other thing that makes me really confused by this name is they've just put 2 things together. They've just put drink, which is a verb, and a noun, water, together. Why wasn't it Danny run table? Or Danny... Why wasn't it Danny, instead of Danny drink water, Danny Danny sit chair. I mean, that makes sense. Danny swim building, or Danny swim, or maybe not swim. Maybe Danny eats roof. Danny eat roof. Why wasn't that a thing? Why drink water? I want to speak to the owners. Owners? How did surnames come about? Drink water. See, that would have been really funny in like the 1950s, I reckon. Gee, they would have got bullied for their last name in school. And someone that definitely got bullied for their last name in school was the second one I've got down here, David Seaman. Obviously, semen, a term for cum, which is, of course, very funny. But again, another name that just has two things put together. Seaman. Why wasn't it chairwoman or like, I don't know, door dog, David door dog? Why Seaman? Again, that's unfortunate. And considering how good he was, that name has kind of just been really normalised. But if he was shit, that name, he would have been absolutely ripped to shreds. And another one that I've got down here, Robin Koch, obviously the Leeds player, the German. And the funny thing is about this name is, and another name that maybe less up for the name that I'm going to speak about next, but in Germany, I would assume Robin Koch would just be a normal name. I'm not because obviously the reason why we English speakers find it funny because Robin Koch, which is a penis, which again is just the highest of brow humour. Like it is seriously like top tier comedy stuff. Yeah. But yeah, he would have been so confused when he came to Leeds. He would have been like, why is everyone laughing at my name? Obviously in German, but like I don't think he'd speak that fluent English, with like a half Australian, half Greek accent. But why are people laughing at my surname? I don't get it. Who would have told him? I reckon it would have been. I reckon Liam Cooper. He would have ripped him to shreds. Maybe actually, Patrick Bamford would have. I feel like Calvin Phillips would have like stood up for him, like being like, "Oh, guys, shut up!" Like Patrick, fuck off. Patrick would have just ripped him. Haha, your name's cock, penis. Again, just so funny. And we got two more which kind of fit into the same bracket. I mean, technically this one fits in the same bracket as well, but Christian Fuchs, obviously title-winning player at Leicester. Obviously Christian Fuchs, which is funny. And then Rod Fanny as well, which is probably the pinnacle of double entendre names. Rod Fanny, obviously, we all know what that means. So yeah, if you've thought of any more, or thought of any other double name entendres, or changing name entendres, if that makes sense. So like I said, Danny Drinkwater, maybe Danny Sit Wall, or Danny Jog Water. Jog water. Why drink water? Why did it have to make sense? Let me know again on Twitter or in the comments on YouTube. So yeah, let's move back to my homeland, Australia. Let's speak about the A-League. And before we start, I want to speak about the fixturing because I want to speak about the A-League holistically for a second. There was 4 A-League games on Saturday, I think it was. So they were both in pairs, both on at the same time. Which, I mean, surely you can get around that fixturing. And the reason why I want to speak about the A-League was I saw 2 things on Twitter the other week which made me think to myself, and I wanted to speak about it on this platform that I have. Simon Hill has a radio show with Alex Brosk, and he did a very passionate plea to basically just outlining everything that's wrong with the A-League at the moment. It was about a minute and a half long. Check it out. It is very good. I think I retweeted it, so that it's very good. Just summation of everything that's wrong with the league. And also Tom Williams' tweet. Now, for those who don't know who Tom Williams is, he's a up and coming football writer. Does very, very good stuff. More analytical based, dissecting games, tactics, etc. I'll leave his links, his relevant links in the description. On YouTube. Very, very good writer. Check out his stuff. It's elite. But he put out a tweet basically saying that he's never felt more apathy to the A-League than now. And I don't think I've agreed with the statement more. And it kind of goes back to this thing of where did it go wrong? Because you had obviously, so it started in 2005 and you had the spike, obviously, new league, hype, early big games, etc., etc. So from about 2005 till about 2008, 2009 maybe, the league was doing well. Obviously, you had the likes of Dwight York playing. I think Tony Popovich came back from England. You had all these stars playing. And it culminated around the same time as Australia, the national team, were through its golden generation type thing. So you had that. Two things, new league, good national team, good foreign players, bang, explosion. Really good start to the league. And then from about 2009, 2008 even, till about 2012, 13, maybe 12, there was just this kind of dip, which maybe you could say was kind of like a hangover type thing, where you had this hype, but then you had this slow kind of regression into what was not the same league. And then for whatever reason it picked up. From about 2013 till about 2016-ish, 2017-ish, the league exploded. And there's one thing in my mind that correlates to the downfall, which I'll speak on. But whatever it was, everything seemed to be ticking. And I think this culminated in the 2015 Grand Final. And I know that's very biased in terms of... because Victory won, right? And we beat Sydney. It was a glorious day. I went to it. My second Grand Final. Glorious day, right? But I just felt like that was the perfect day for Australian football. At Amy Park, so we're not playing at Etihad or at the SCG or any football or cricket ground. You had Lee Broxham and Costa Barbarousse getting on the score sheet, two A-League-ish made players. You had a packed Amy Park. I've never seen a more full. You had a full away section filled by Sydney. That was chocolate all the way to the top. And it was just kind of this really good, not summation, but crescendo to what was a fantastic season and what was a fantastic couple of years. And then obviously the following year with Adelaide versus Western Sydney, which granted was played at Adelaide Oval, but it was a stunning grand final. Obviously Isaias with that free kick. And then the season after that was Victory Sydney again, with Sydney winning. And then the season after that was the season after. So the season after Victory Sydney, the penalty shootout, for me, that was the season that slowly started to just ebb away at the league, cutting it back, stopping the marketing, stopping pretty much everything. And then obviously the season after that, Victory won the league against Newcastle, and then I think that was the death nail of that season, to be honest. I don't think the league's been the same since that season, but it was going downhill regardless. And what I wanted to speak on, I actually take back my original statement. I think it was from about 2011. So from about 2008 to 2011, it was kind of floundering, maybe plateauing a little bit. And then from 2011 till about 2016, it was booming. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One, active support. And the reason why for me it started to go downhill was because active support was pretty much dead by about 2017. It was pretty much it was over policed. It wasn't there, and it was just this kind of half-assed thing by supporter groups, which didn't like work in for what they wanted to do. And so that was in about 2017, 2018-ish, which the over-policing of this active support started to go downhill, which led to basically the shitstorm of the league. And then in 20, let's go from about 2011 onwards, there was this just buzz about the league and about the coverage, and I think this is probably the most important thing, is coverage of the league. I can remember vividly, 2015-ish, 2014, match day Saturday on Fox Sports was bloody fucking unbelievable. You had Adam Peacock, Mark Bosnich, Robbie Slater, whoever else they had on, would go through all three games on a Saturday, and they would kick on to the Premier League at about 11:30, 12 o'clock. Marvellous stuff, right? Because it just flowed and it just worked. And for the people who wanted to watch only the A-League, only the Premier League, they would tune in at about 8 o'clock, switch on the A-League game because it's something to watch. And it flowed nicely. They didn't have to change channel. They didn't have to change, streaming platform. It just flowed nicely into the Premier League. It worked. They had the formula that worked, and it was marketed, it was promoted, there was this buzz about the league. Obviously, it helped with the likes of Western Sydney coming in and having an immediate impact. And obviously that rivalry with Sydney really built. And then you had Melbourne Heart coming in, which did give a bit of a kick to the league. I don't think it had the same impact as Western Sydney, because Western Sydney was craving for a team for God knows how long, right? So they had those two kickstarters to the league. But there was just this buzz around the league, and I think they've tried to do it this year, and it hasn't, or the last couple of years, and it has not worked at all. This is the first year on Paramount. That's been a shitstorm. That has been an absolute disaster, in my opinion. That is the worst platform for streaming. And you have obviously you have Stan for the Champions League, Optus Sport, and then you have NBA, All American Sports. Then you have the UFC, you have wrestling. You have all these platforms that have subscription based streaming services. Paramount is the worst by far. They marketed the league at the start of the season, but then it slowly just petered away. There was this massive expectation at the start of the season based on the whole promotion aspect. I'd give them that. The marketing for the league before the season was very good. They have not kept that up though. It's been very shit ever since. And the quality of the streaming service isn't good. There's no except for Saturday nights, the game coverage starts 15 minutes before the kickoff. There's just something so. I switch on Paramount, watch the game, get off. I don't consume anything from it. I don't take anything away from it. I find it very difficult to take something away from an A-League game that I watch. Now. Except maybe Victory is the only exception because I'm a Victory supporter. If I'm watching Brisbane Roar versus Western United, I find it very difficult to take anything away from the game, from the coverage, except the final result and maybe the goals. I think, obviously, the standard of refereeing has been absolutely abysmal, has been absolutely woeful, which doesn't help. And there's only one game on free to air, which for me, no. If you want to market the league, have Friday nights, Saturday nights at the absolute minimum on free to air. If you want to market the league, or create 10 sport and have all the games on free to air, maybe. Obviously, the debacle with the ads as well. I think they fixed that now, just having the banners come up and maybe after goals. I don't necessarily like it after goals, but it's better than having manufactured drinks breaks for the ads. And just having banners pop up at the bottom of the screen, that's fine as well. That doesn't interrupt the game anyway. I agree with Tom's tweet. I've never felt just a general apathy towards the league in a long time, and which is sad because if I've got nothing to do on like a Sunday afternoon, and I'm just sitting at home doing nothing, I probably won't even switch on an A-League game. I probably won't because I don't take anything away from it. I don't enjoy watching it. The viewing experience isn't good. And does that come down to the coverage? Potentially, and probably yes. Does that come down to the teams? Maybe, because I mean Western United are the best team in the league, and they don't play exciting football. I've said this; they play very efficient football, and if you're a Western United fan, you're super pleased with the way that your team has performed this season. But it's not exciting to watch. Then you have Melbourne City. Yeah, I guess. I mean, they play exciting football. Melbourne Victory play very inconsistent football. Adelaide United are up there. They play pretty good football. And then you have like maybe Newcastle United who play Newcastle Jets even who play probably the pound for pound the most exciting football. They're eighth and they're not even they don't I don't think they're going to make finals. So there's this just general meh to the league is really hurting it. Paramount. Oh, I said this. I didn't say this publicly. I said this privately to a couple of people not long ago. Paramount killed the league. I think it was on its deathbed at Fox Sports, but Paramount have, they'll more appropriately, taken the plug out because with Fox Sports, Foxtel was as widely considered to be free to air television, and I want to preface this, and I want to be careful in what I say here, but Foxtel was around for a long time, right? A lot of people that at least I know had Foxtel. If they didn't have Foxtel, they had KO, right? And it's the same coverage, same thing, pretty much. And obviously I'm aware Foxtel is very expensive, and I'm very privileged to have it, and I've had it for a long time, right? I'm forever grateful for that because it's given me the opportunity to watch like Fox Footy and Fox Cricket and ESPN and beIN and whatever, right? Forever grateful for that, and I understand the reasons why people potentially don't have it. I completely get that, but it was a very widely used platform and widely known platform. If I walk down the street to some bloke, put it this way: if I go into an AFL game and I pick a random bloke from the crowd and say, "Hey mate, do you know Foxtel?" They will say yes. If I go, "Do you know Paramount?" I can guarantee you they'll say no, because no one knows it. Whereas people know Foxtel, people know KO, they're more likely to use it, and thus they're more likely to just switch on the soccer. And I also think, which maybe this came to my head just now, when Optus Sport got the Premier League, that didn't help, because what I said before of people who just stuck around on a Saturday night if they weren't doing anything, switch on, were waiting for the Premier League to start at 11:30, would just switch on the A-League at 7:30, watch the pre-match coverage, which was always very good, especially if it was a big game. If it was like a Sydney derby, Melbourne derby, Big Blue, Melbourne Victory versus Western Sydney, big games, the pre-match coverage would always be elite. The halftime coverage would be very good, and the post-game coverage would be very good as well. So they'd switch on, they're more likely to watch it, get invested, watch it more. Find the team, follow the team, buy more money. Economics, right? There's just something intangibly wrong with the A-League at the moment. I don't know what it is, but there's something, like, I genuinely, and I say I don't know what it is. I think I know what it is, and it's what I've outlined for the past 15 minutes. But I don't know what can fix it. God knows. Maybe just effort. Maybe literally just effort and caring about it might fix it. but I don't know. Yeah, like what a time I was in 2012, 2013 when fucking Best Operator was running around and Amy Park was getting packed, Sydney Football Stadium was packed, Parramatta was packed. Anyway, it's annoying because I want a thriving league in my country, but I'm just not getting it. Let's move on. I was going to speak about the A-League. Oh, fuck, how long have we gone? 45 minutes. I think, let's speed through a couple of things because I don't want to take too much of your time. The A-League All-Stars has been rumoured that I don't see any problem with that. I don't necessarily think that you can make an A-League All-Stars team without just filling the side with 11 players made up of 3 clubs. But let's see how that goes. I think they're versing Barcelona, which will be good. Obviously, a Messi-less Barcelona, but they've still got some good players. The victory TikTok Shrek tweet, which just made so many people angry, which I don't understand. So for those who didn't see it, Victory put up a tweet of a viral TikTok thing, but like their own version. I don't know. I don't use TikTok, so I seriously will not have a clue of what they're talking about. But it made a lot of people very upset. And that made me very confused because I was like, alright, if you don't like it, then just scroll past it. Why do you have to quote tweet it saying, this is shit? Yeah, I don't know. Was it the most professional thing in the world? Probably not. Is the A-League the most professional thing in the world? Considering that we have a fucking stadium with sauce bottles at the end of one side of the pitch, I don't necessarily think professionalism is high up on the A-League, on the A-League's agenda at the moment, to be honest. So yeah, that happened. Okay, let me rank the A-League managers because I said I'll do this episode, so I'll do it. Now, I'm doing this in a tier maker format, so obviously you will know that you will know what a tier maker is. So I've got 5 tiers. Bottom tier, NPL, standard. Second bottom tier, Gold Coast United, or North Queensland Fury, depending on. Middle tier, he's 8. Yeah, he's alright. Yeah, he's 8. Standard A-League level, nothing too special. B, second highest is solid manager. And then the highest is too good for the league. Now, I've got, should I go bottom to top or let's go bottom to top. Now, in NPL, I've got 2 managers. I've got Richard Garcia from Perth Glory and Warren Moon from the Brisbane Raw. Now, I think that's very harsh on Moon, especially because I don't think his squad is necessarily that good. But I don't think I'm struggling to make in-depth comments about these managers because, again, the apathy I feel to this league has never been higher. So I'm just going off gut instinct and just being like, yeah, he seems like he goes there. And Richard Garcia, obviously, Perth have been shit so far this season. They have some talented players, and yet, I don't know. They just haven't found it. Gold Coast United, Mark Rudan. Maybe he should be an NPL. If we're doing a person's test, he won't even be on the list. But we're doing based on managerial ability. We'll go Gold Coast United. I think he just scrapes up into that level, into that category. We've got Ye's 8. So we'll go in no particular order. Ante Milicic, John Aloisi, Steve Corica, Ufik Talai. Not definitely not that. Ufik Talai. And the Adelaide United manager has escaped me, for God's sake. What's his name? Calvert. Now, I think Adelaide have played. Actually, that's really harsh on Adelaide. They're like 3rd, aren't they? Let me just double check their ladder because I made this last night while I was watching the Chelsea game, so I wasn't exactly thinking too straight. No, that's very stiff on Calvert. He goes up one. And even John Aloisi. The only reason I put John Aloisi and Steve Corica there, who probably deserve to be higher up, is because I don't like them. So, I mean, it's my list. I don't like Steve Corica and I don't like John Aloisi, so I'm not giving them anything more than, yeah, he's 8. So, again, it's my list, so if you're angry at it, I don't know, tweet me. That always goes down well. And then you fix a lie. I just think he's A. I just think he's A-League level. And Ante Milicic has MacArthur playing very well. Ante Milicic is weird because your appreciation of him is dependent on your tolerance for his very subdued style of football. And I really don't like his very, very subdued style of football. So I just think he's 8. In solid, and I think there's one pick which is very biased in this. In yay solid, I've got Nick Montgomery. Wait, why do I have him there? Hold on. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just completely, yeah, no, Nick Montgomery's not there. I don't know why he's there. He's in bottom of Ye's 8. Because I think he's got a future. I think he's got potential. Bottom of Ye's 8, Nick Montgomery. So, yeah. So, Nick Montgomery, Ante Milicic, Steve Corica, Ufik Talai, and John Aloisi in he's 8. In solid, I've got Calvert, as I said, and Arthur Papas. now, obviously Newcastle probably aren't going to make finals, but I feel like I have to represent the Greek community. So, and also he might manage Greece one day, and I would like to see that. So yes, Arthur Papas is a solid manager, and once again, it's my list. So if you don't like it, I don't care. And yeah, like I said, Calvert. And then for too good for the league, Patrick Isnorbo and Tony Popovic. I think Popper is too good for the. It's weird because I don't think Popper is solid, but I don't think he's better than the league. I think the A-League is his level. But I'll tell you what it is. I think the A-League is his level. He just needs to find a league and a club that is similar level to the A-League that he can propel. Because he's been to Europe, he's been overseas, and he hasn't performed that well. But I think he's just too good for the league. But he just hasn't shown it. That's that sort of thing. Anyway, that's probably biased speaking. But like once again, I don't care about your opinion. Obviously, that's a joke. But that's what I think. And then Patrick Isnorbo obviously won the league last year. Top of the league as it stands. And obviously was linked with the Sunderland job. I think that would have been a catastrophe if he got it. I think it was too early for him. But I think he does have potential to surpass the A-League managerial level. So yeah. So just from the top, or from the bottom even. Richie Garcia and Warren Moon at MPL level. Probably a bit harsh, maybe. Mark Rudan at Gold Coast United. Nick Montgomery, Ufik Talai, Steve Corica, Ante Milicic, John Aloisi at he's 8. Actually, Ante Milicic, that's very stiff. He did do well with them. He did do well with the Matildas as well. Fuck. Okay, there's one more level in between for me. There's one more level. So in between solid and he's 8 is Ante Milicic. And that's where his level is. So Ante Milicic is in between solid and he's 8. So Nick Montgomery, Ufik Talai, Steve Corica, John Aloisi in he's 8. We have Ante Milicic in the Ante Milicic tier. You have Arthur Papas and Calvert in solid, and then Tony Popovic and Patrick Isnorbo, too good for the league. There you go. That's my that will probably change by the end of the season, and will probably definitely change by the start of next season. I'll leave a link to the tier list in the description of this fucking podcast on YouTube. And if this goes up as a clip, I'll leave a link to it on Twitter and on the YouTube clip as well. I'll say. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Although I'll probably change it, but who cares? So, fuck, we're ticking over 50 minutes here, aren't we? 55 minutes. Jesus Christ. We've got Barcelona. So now getting away from this godforsaken country, we've got Barcelona's downfall. They drew 0 to Galatasaray in the week, which was just funny. Really funny. I think I predicted them to finish like... I think I predicted them to win, and they didn't. So, I mean, fucking fair goes. Yeah, Benzema, he's probably at the moment the best player in the world, I would say. Hat-trick in 10 minutes or whatever it was. Like I said, he's so... I don't think I've ever said this, or publicly anyway, but he's so underrated. Like, he's so underrated. And we're only now seeing just how good he is without Ronaldo, without Bale, and without people to like cover him. When he's not in the shadow of any player, he's elite. And PSG, I initially wrote on my run sheet, I've got PSG lol, right? That was in reference to their Champions League loss. But now I think that just is reference to the whole club. Because for those who didn't say, so obviously, I think this happened in their latest game over the weekend. Naturally, I'm pretty sure every football stadium does this. When they announce the lineup in the ground over the PA, they say number 7 Kylian, and then the fans go Mbappe, and it's all nice and cute, right? But instead of doing number 30 Lionel Messi, they did Lionel and then just booed him. They did the same for Neymar as well. Fuck, they're spoiled brats. Like, granted, I know they didn't win the Champions League, which is what they brought Messi in to do. But you've got the best player ever in your team and you're booing him. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not a PSG supporter, but I just think it's really funny and really spoiled. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, nah, can't do that. I'm afraid, Chief. Yeah, and then obviously moving on to the only segment on this podcast, who went into footed despite the whole structure and the format change. This segment remains because it gives me an excuse to, I don't know what it does. It just, I don't know, some structure. Fuck it, leave me alone. Who went into footed? I've put the Sevilla away end. Now, for those who didn't say, it was floating around Twitter, obviously. West Ham played Sevilla in the week in the Europa League, and their away end could genuinely kill a man. So for those who didn't say, it was literally like just concrete steps or like concrete bleachers with just red seats just sat on them, and they were literally as steep as this. So for those who don't see, I'm holding up a pen. I'm holding up a pen at about a 90-degree angle. Right? Or not even. I'm just holding a pen straight down. But it's about there. That's how steep it was. If West Ham scored a winner or an equaliser in the 90th minute, people would have died. That is so not... Like, safe standing. Fuck. We've already been through this with very, very dangerous events, obviously. Hillsborough, obviously not the same circumstances, but without proper seating or safe standing, the Hillsborough disaster happens. Obviously, very unfortunate incident, and obviously I think it was Juventus versus Liverpool, I want to say, situation which happened in the 80s, which led to a lot of people losing their lives because of... That one was less so, but the Hillsborough, because of there was no proper orderly fashion of where you're seating and standing and etc. That could have ended very badly, but it didn't, so thank God for that. Moving on to the preview of the week, we've got Champions League, both the Asian Champions League, Vissale Kobe, Vissel Kobe versus Melbourne Victory. That comes out. That plays tomorrow at fucking hell, why can't I speak? That's Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. That is the Asian Champions League qualifying leg, I believe. And then you have the normal Champions League, Ajax versus Benfica, which is 2-2 in aggregate, and then United versus Atletico Madrid, which is 1-1 in aggregate. I'll go with Ajax and Atletico to go through. Actually, Ajax and United to go through. Ronaldo will come up clutch once again. Just like he did against Spurs, which I didn't really speak about. But yeah, Ronaldo's... Again, I think him and Harry Maguire were built in separate labs, but kind of... No, were built in the same lab, but by, like, good like scientist and bad scientist. Yeah, the good scientist building Ronaldo as like whatever the fuck Ronaldo is, and then you had the bad scientist building Harry Maguire in what the fuck Harry Maguire is. And then obviously Juventus. I'm just gonna move on. Juventus versus Villarreal, which is 1-1 in aggregate. I actually think Villarreal will go through. I really like Villarreal. I really like the team, and yeah, I just think that if one team is going to be upsetted, if that's even a word, it will be Juventus. And I just really rate the way Unai Emery is constructing this team. It's just very solid, and they play specific roles. It's just very rigid and a very structured way of playing. I like it. I like it a lot. And then Lille versus Chelsea, 2-0 Chelsea on aggregate. Chelsea will get through, barring we can actually make it, or our bus runs out of fuel and we can't pay for more. So, barring we can actually get into the country and play the game, I think Chelsea will get through. And then obviously the second leg of all the Europa League games. I think Barcelona will beat Galatasaray. I think Rangers will beat Red Star. Frankfurt will beat Betis. Monaco will beat Braga but not go through. Leverkusen will go through against Atalanta. Porto will go through against Lyon, and West Ham will go through against Sevilla. And then obviously the Melbourne Derby on Saturday night, which is get around it. And then obviously FA Cup weekend for some teams who are playing in it, i.e. Chelsea, City, Liverpool, and not Tottenham. So thank you all very much for listening. That is all for this episode. I wish you all well. I wish you all safe. We just ticked over the hour mark. Longest episode by a country fucking mile. I wish you all safe. I wish you all safe. I wish sending every one of you well wishes. I hope the week's football treats you well. I hope this hour and 3 minutes of some bloke talking gave you a distraction for whatever's happening in your world. I hope the football treats you well. Stay safe. See you guys. Bye.